Let's move from this basic understanding of a God breathed spirit that is functioning early on in the mother's womb. You've got this little baby that's interacting with its environment. You've got this kind of function going on. Let's fast forward from there to what I deal with a lot, which is addiction and dysfunction and people who are struggling. That shaping that went on in the womb was incredibly real. It's incredibly powerful. And in fact, here's what I also believe, that the spirit realm is deeper, more powerful. So the thoughts tend to reflect what's going on the inside more than it tends to control what's going on in the inside. So I've got someone who's 6 years old, who's been shaped by fear and by fear and by fear and by fear. That child walks into a classroom. Guess what? They're going to be incredibly sensitive to things going on in their environment. So I'm walking into a classroom, incredibly sensitive. I've got this fear thing, and it's shaped me. And so I'm kind of on edge walking in there. It doesn't take much of a comment. It doesn't take much of maybe 2, 3, 4 other kids in the classroom who what? They're also shaped by fear. Now, their fear, I'm very attentive to that. And attention and focus is very, very important in terms of spirituality. So my spirit, not necessarily even my mind, my spirit instantly has that radar out, and it's beginning to pick up on, oh, there's fearful person on aisle 1, so to speak, and aisle 2 and aisle 3. And I'm picking up on all that. That person who has that kind of sensitivity, which partially comes out of the shaping through the years, that person who has that sensitivity, all of a sudden they begin to feel the fear of multiple people in that classroom. Now, what do you think that child's experience in the classroom is going to look like compared to the child who's grown up in a much more of a loving, reassuring environment, and he's grown up and he's had that assurance over and over again, and every time something difficult comes into his life, guess what? Love shows up. Mercy shows up. There's a coming alongside. There's a walking through. That child now walks into the classroom. What kind of experience is that child going to have in the classroom? Why don't you just think about that? I have 2 kids walking into the classroom, and let's just say, to make it easy, let's just say both of them were created absolutely identical. Now, that never happens. Every one of us are unique creations, so that doesn't work. But for theory right now, and to follow through our experiment, we've got 2 kids walking in the classroom. One of them's picking up on fear, fear, fear. The other one's just seeing this kid who's laughing and having fun. He's probably picking up on that, and he's thinking about, how can I connect with that individual? This is going to be fun, and we're going to have good relationships. If you begin to understand, all of this is happening at a subconscious level. All of this is a part of spiritual function. John the Baptist was what? Filled with the Spirit from his mother's womb. He experienced life from a completely different perspective than anybody who had been born up to that point in time. By the same token, this child who walks into the classroom, having been spiritually shaped over a period of years, his experience is completely different. If we're not even aware of the spiritual man, if we're not understanding any of this stuff, how are we supposed to be able to help people? And frankly, that's part of what I do. When I'm sitting down and I'm listening to people and I'm talking to people, I've got that ear up going, what's going on spiritually in this person's life? And a lot of times you can pick up on jealousy or shame or condemnation or fear or any of these kinds of different things. Once you see what I call a spiritual flow, what happens, you know a lot about that individual. You know a lot about how they're going to respond to life, how they're going to respond to people. So you can immediately begin to give them feedback about what's going on in their life. And also you can begin to give them wise counsel, because God has solutions for fear. God has solutions for shame. God has solutions for jealousy. By understanding the spirit realm and what's happening in the spirit realm, you immediately have a much greater power working with people, interacting with people, praying for people, It's just an amazing tool that I find very few people are aware of and certainly not skilled in using as they're praying with people, counseling with people, and teaching and training them.
Video production, editing, and audio by Matthew. Set design and setup by Ashley. Content recorded live at Studio 104.